Welcome, brothers and sisters. This is Alchemix. You've just stumbled upon the Alchemix channel. And today we're going to be discussing some tips, some tricks, some hacks, some ways you can make this XDJ RX2 put in the most work for you. 2 channels is limiting. I originally jumped into the MIDI controller world with a SB2, and it might have even been an SB. I might be that old. But I returned it so fast because 2 channels was just extremely limiting. I got a SX2 and was in love. So there's ways we can definitely uh, finesse this little machine to do a little more work for us than just your standard 2-deck mixing here. We can always put in turntables. You could even do CDJs beyond them. I have one way over here at the end. And I kind of like using vinyl with it, to be honest. The mixer's got this little tapper here for your BPM, so it's very easy to figure out where you need to set your next deck in order to mix in. You could go from vinyl to internal to a CDJ or something like that, and be a lot more free with your options. And I just like to have more standalone stuff going, and always like the CDJs running through this auxiliary channel here in order to not have to have a switch thrown every time you want to jump back and forth. But if you're gonna drop all the money that one of these costs, it's expensive. It's a piece of professional DJ gear that should last you a lifetime. One of my professional tips is invest in it, insure it, take care of it, keep it clean. Get a deck saver. They're about $80, and in my opinion, they're worth their weight in gold. So, not just for like keeping it safe when you're transporting it, although that's really important. All these little knobs and stuff tend to get messed up if you're just dragging it around. But it keeps the dust out of your faders and stuff. Anytime you're not using it, you should throw your dust covers back on, just because that's how I get a lot of gear cheap, is it just looks beat up and grungy, and I just pull all the faders off and clean it up and run a little fader lube and stuff through everything. And oftentimes I end up getting killer deals because somebody didn't want to just invest in a deck saver. And then when you combine that with the Magma Soft case, that's one of the most ways to keep your lightweight portability but maximize your safety for your equipment here. I've been using the same setup on my SX2 since forever, and that one's nice and small enough. It's like a briefcase. You could almost hug that one on your chest on an airplane and get away with Standalone or something. You can't quite do that with the RX2. That one's got the handle, but it's also got a shoulder strap, which is nice because it's much bulkier and quite a bit heavier. But like getting through doorways and stuff can be a bit of a challenge. However, I was able to get into my convention at the Tacoma Dome a couple weeks ago, 2 days in a row, with just one trip loading in, one trip loading out. Just my XDJ RX2, my backpack, a gallon of water, a couple uplights. I was able to just in and out. It was awesome. So it's already definitely done what I wanted it to do. I was able to cut the cord, and I can definitely mix all night with just 2 channels. It's just so limiting. I love having 4 or more. And I'm going to show you ways that we can kind of finesse up to as much as 5 channels at the same time out of this with a bit of a weird little hack here. But let me show you that the soft case just for comparison. And I think, yeah, both the case and the deck saver are $80. Totally worth it compared to how much you dropped on this and what it's going to do for you over the life of this thing. Get yourself these little insurance items here. Yeah, a ton of padding in there. Really locks the deck in place. It's just really nice. You don't have to tiptoe around with this almost $2,000 piece of gear, hoping you're not gonna screw anything up there. So super awesome. I love vinyl. I like to do DVS. However, this one's not DVS capable, but you can still just keep like your favorite scratch record on deck, ready to go.
No one will stop me.
You can have a beat over here on the other side.
Hit it, maestro!
And then again, like I was saying, you just tap in the BPM. You don't have to worry if all of your vinyl is already labeled and stuff like that. You're good to go. So without having to flip a switch here, I can mix in the CDJ on the auxiliary channel. So that's 3 channels right there. It just sucks that the auxiliary channel doesn't have EQs. So you kind of have to do all your EQing on one of your main channels. And if you wanted to get creative, you could run another source through your second mic channel, like I'm using one right now. But if you're not using it, you could actually have 2 more channels, and both of those have limited dual band EQs on them, which is still better than no EQs. So far, most of this is stuff you obviously already know. Let me give you a few other little tricks before I show you the hack to really drag out some channels and functionality. When you're in Rekordbox exporting your music, you're gonna want to go into the settings, and you want to add a few categories. Stock, it doesn't give you a whole lot. Make sure that when you're exporting to a thumb drive, you're going to be able to see genre and BPM and like a lot of these things that just for some reason in the stock settings aren't there. And it just makes it a lot easier to surf and browse once you're into your files on the XDJ RX2. The other thing that's helpful, once it is all exported proper from Rekordbox, it's really the best way to do it. Format your thumb drives in FAT32 if you can, because the XDJ RX2 works best with that. You can just hit the shortcut button here and turn on quantize effect, and then you don't have to worry as much about if your mixer effects are on beat. They're going to be synced to the analyzed tracks. It's really nice. I know it's simple. A lot of people, think obvious, but this is a touch screen. You can actually go in there and like type in to search your songs and stuff like that. Like it's easy to forget. Your needle search is also down here just on the touch screen. Don't forget that you can adjust all this stuff in the utility menu too. If you just hold down the menu button, then you'll see all of the settings for the XDJ unit itself. Now, this is how you really get the channels out of your XDJ RX2. So I have a DJ splitter cable running out of my MacBook here. There's no MIDI link between my hardware or the MacBook, but it can't just be a standard splitter. It has to be a special DJ splitter. And then I'm using DJ Pro. You could use any 2-channel, 4-channel software. If you have Tractor already, you can use Tractor. If you have Serato Pro or Record Box, you could use these. You could even use free ones like MIXXX. Like, that one works great and has been well updated and taken care of. It's open source free software, but it's what I started on way back, and I still stand by that. It's really amazing for free software. But then you make sure that it's set up to do what's called pre-queuing, and it's going to split these. Now I have 4 decks here, and with DJ Pro I can load any song I need out of Spotify, so it basically solves like on-demand request issues. Once it's loaded into the hardware here, it shouldn't skip. I've been using my laptop more lately. You can do this same setup with your iPad, but for some reason my iPad was just pausing in the middle of a track even after it was loaded and cached into the hardware itself, which it's not supposed to do that. And I found that the actual laptop full app runs a lot more stable. But what we've done here is essentially created a hardware hack. So now my left 2 channels here, they're splitting a mono signal out and down each channel. So I have full volume fader manipulation. My EQs work. I can add color effects. Basically, crossfader. It's like having a channel. It's really nice. Anything under like 500 people where you don't need a stereo signal for extra tricks and stuff. If it's not like a stadium or whatever, like, this has been super adequate for live request situations, parties, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. Right now we're mixing with music I don't even have on my computer. So with this setup, you could essentially run 5 sources. Between these 4 decks and CDJ or another internal source through a mic channel or something. A lot of creative ways that you can really tax this 2-channel unit here. And of course, once you get good with mixer effects, you can create a roll of anything and transfer it either to the auxiliary channel. It's nice that you can add the mixer effects to the microphone channels and the auxiliary channel. So even where you feel a little limited because there's no EQs, there's ways you can still kind of play with certain items. And yeah, don't feel limited. A lot of people bought this specifically because they wanted to cut the cord with the laptop. Me, I definitely agree. However, when I'm running it like this and they're both standalone, a lot of the stress is off for me. It seems like that connection when they're dependent on each other, that's where all my crashes and issues have arisen. When I'm running my laptop standalone or some standalone hardware standalone, I've never had a hiccup. So I definitely like combining them this way where it's not technically dependent. If any one item in the chain crashes, I got 100 options to flip a switch and just keep going right away. So yeah, that's kind of the beauty of the XDJ RX2. It's got a lot of the magic controller features we all love with the hot cues and the modern stuff, but this standalone mixer section is still really worth its weight in gold, and there's a lot of inputs and outputs over these standard ones that they have full control and manipulation of. So experiment, play with it. Let me know if you have any other awesome tips, tricks, hacks for the XDJ RX2, and just yeah, stretch it to the max because it's expensive. So I love you guys. Take it easy. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys come back and watch some more videos with us sometime. Have a great day.